Palmistry reading of another person. I don't know his particular age, but we would be reading his hand. Before I start the video, I request you to press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update. You can call me or you can email me. These are the phone numbers mentioned. So now we straight away head to this particular hand image that we have in front of us. I'm just going to first show you the quality of the hand image. Just take a look at both the hand images. It is of the same person. You would notice in this particular hand, the heart line, this is the heart line, it appears to be broader. If we compare it with this particular hand image, we find that the heart line is deep and clear. So there's a difference between broad line and a deep and clear line. So probably I would go by this particular hand image because this hand image is showing better quality of the line. Probably the line is the heart line is something like this and not necessarily it is broad. See, the difference between a broad line and a deep and clear line is vast. A broad line, what it does is it kind of brings stress and anxiety. It kind of reduces the function of our heart. Our heart doesn't function in the best possible way, and probably due to that, heart related issues might crop up. But this is not the case, because in this particular hand image we find that the quality of the heart line is perfect, and the heart line needs to be perfect, and it's a very important kind of a line. So that's the reason why I give too much of importance to the heart line. Now we straight away head to this particular hand image that we have in front of us. I'm just going to point out few important points right at the start. We are talking about first regarding the lifeline. Now on the lifeline, what we find is that there are few upward kind of lines. These lines that we are referring to, they are pointing towards the mount of Jupiter. This is the mount of Jupiter, and any line pointing from the lifeline upward towards the mount of Jupiter is considered to be good. What it brings is that it makes a person reach to a higher position. Jupiter, what is Jupiter? See, try to understand what is Jupiter. Jupiter is a big planet. Big planet means growth, expansion, honor in your life. And if the lines from if lines kind of originate from here and they join the lifeline, it means your life is getting guided by Jupiter. This is a very important aspect. If your life is getting guided by Jupiter, it means for growth, for expansion, for spiritual growth as well, for a person reaching to a higher position in life. So all these things can be seen in this particular person's hand. Now the second aspect that we find on his hand is that this is the line of head. It appears that it is kind of originating on the mount of Jupiter. Now this is also a very important aspect. People generally, what they want to know is about the money line. They don't realize that money line plays an important part in our success, but each and every line can also talk about success or failure. And even the headline, the thought process line, can talk a lot about your success or failure. So if you notice that in the initial start, this is the initial start, there's an upward kind of a swing. We just take a look at another hand image that we have in front of us. I'm just going to zoom in. You would notice similar kind of indications, these upward lines from the lifeline joining the lifeline. These are good signs. Just going to take another hand image that we have in front of us. So there's an upward kind of a line from the headline pointing towards the mount of Jupiter. So all these lines are considered to be good. Now at the same time, there are few negative lines on the headline as well. This is the line of money, the line of fate, and this is the headline. So this intersection is age 35. So this portion of life, the headline is before the age of 35. And you would notice that from the headline, this is the headline, from the headline, there are one or two lines pointing a little bit downwards, all before the age of 35. So before this intersection out here, this age is 35. So this portion of life is probably around the age of 32. And this portion could be a little bit before the age of 32. So if lines from the head point downward and point towards the amount of moon, this is the amount of moon, it basically signifies that some kind of disappointments may crop up in this particular person's life. So this is what the left hand is showing. Now you would wonder why we are taking a look at the left hand. The left hand is the passive hand, right hand is the active hand. And we do not ignore, I personally do not ignore the left hand. So that's the reason why I give huge amount of importance to the left hand as well, but giving more importance to the right hand. So upward lines pointing towards a finger is all about success and growth and expansion. Downward lines can also be seen in the right hand as well, somewhere close to the age of approximately 29-30, and pointing towards the amount of moon. So this is a little bit negative. Now you would also notice that if we find a negative sign somewhere out here, we should be able to correlate similar kind of an indication on other lines as well. So for that case, we are going to take a look at the money line. See, this is the money line. It is kind of starting from the amount of moon and it ends before it touches the headline. So if it touched the headline, this age would be age 35 on the money line. This is the money line. So this intersection of the head and money line is age 35. So just before the age of 35, the original money line kind of ends out here. This is ending of the money line. So it could mean ending of the money line could mean job loss, work loss, business loss. This is one way of looking at it. Second could be that the person, the main earning member of their family, their health or wealth may go down. So more responsibility falls onto this particular person's head. This is another way of looking at it. And this line is kind of ending around the age of 33. So this is one thing. The other thing is that if you notice, this is the line of money ending out here, but there's another money line kind of originating purely and purely on the amount of moon, and that basically continues till the age of 53. And there's a branch like thing kind of moving inward. So this branch like from the main money line, if it kind of branches out, it is a little bit negative. Let me explain to you in a different way where you can understand what I'm trying to convey to you. Consider this is the money line. Money line is the river of money, and if a tributary goes out from the main money line, and specifically pointing towards the amount of Mars negative. This is the area of fire. This is the area of anger and aggression. So money line should not move towards the amount of Mars negative. It would bring about few losses, few problems in one's life. So this is what is basically represented by a branch like thing from the money line kind of pointing towards out here. But it's not purely and purely pointing towards only towards the amount of Mars negative. It is kind of joining into the main. This is the another main money line that is kind of joining in. So it would kind of give a mixed result kind of a thing. Now the money line originating on the amount of moon signifies that the person would benefit staying far away from their birthplace. This is the amount of moon, and the person if they stay far away from their birthplace, more benefits are likely to come to this particular person. What it also means is that it might help a person from trading activity or service industry, or help from females. Females could be mother, sister, daughter, could be foreigners. In foreigners, it could be male or female, both. It could be purely trading activity or service industry or travel related work. So all this thing is in a way good. In the initial part of the money line, this portion is still the age of 30, roughly 30. You would notice this portion of the line is a little bit dim, and beyond that the line of fate kind of is much more deeper and clearer. So deeper and clearer lines are considered to be good, and going in a very, very definitive kind of a direction is good. Out here you would find there's a wave-like formation, a slight wave-like formation. So wave-like formations are not considered to be really good, but In a way, the lines are reasonably good, so we won't say much about it. We will say reasonably good. Now we move on to the money line after the age of 53. This intersection of the money and the headline is age 35. As it touches the heart line, this is the heart line, the money line kind of vanishes and new lines develop, and they purely point towards the mount of Saturn. So this intersection is the age 53. So somewhere close to the age of 53, few changes are likely to take place in a person's life. And I won't say that the line from 35 to 53 is bad and after the age of 53 is less. They are kind of reasonably okay. Both lines are reasonably okay. So it would mean betterment coming to the person, because as we are growing older, we also have got experience, and we kind of make less mistakes in our olden years compared to the younger years. uh, Now we move to the line of sun. The line of sun is any line pointing towards the mount of sun, and in the initial period, this portion is before the age of 35, from the beyond the headline and below the heart line. This portion is from age 35 to 53, and another line develops somewhere close to the age of 52, and that basically continues till the last portion of one's life. So you would notice that the best possible line that we find out here, the deep and clear sun line, is somewhere from the age of 35 till the age of around the age of 52, 53. Then another line develops somewhere close to the age of 52, 53, and that continues further on. So both these lines are singular kind of lines. Single lines are considered to be good instead of multiple lines. See, even multiple sun lines can be good, provided they are deep and clear. The only thing that is required is that if the sun line is deep and clear, it signifies that the person is energizing their work. Just like the sun energies, if the sun is shining bright, it means the plants on the earth are going to grow much more faster due to the sun energies. When we find that the sun line is kind of missing, and it is very dim, unclear, it means that there are self-doubt and doubts. If a person has got doubts and self-doubt, the person is not able to reach to their potential. But in practical palmistry, I've seen, even in spite of having very dim kind of lines, even then the person is successful. See, the reason why I say the person could be successful, because there's not one sign for success, there are multiple signs for success. Take example for that I have already explained out here. This upward line touching the line of head is somewhere close to the age of 15, 16, 17 years old age. So this upward line means the person is growth oriented right throughout their younger years and even in the later portion of life. So success can be seen with this particular line, and the lines, these upward lines pointing towards the mount of Jupiter out here. All these lines are for success, and they all are coming in the initial period of one's life. So that's the reason why I would say that just by looking at a dim sunline, we can't conclude that the person is not successful. We have to take a look at every possible line to arrive at the conclusion. Now, the other lines that we see for success or failure is the lines of Mercury. The line of Mercury in today's times is very important. The reason why it is important is because Mercury represents knowledge. Mercury represents intelligence. Mercury represents how good we are able to communicate or calculate in our life. So people who have got less lines over the mount of Mercury is considered to be good. Either there should be no lines on the mount of Mercury, that's considered to be an excellent sign. But if a person has perpendicular lines over the mount of Mercury, you would notice these two are small lines and this one is a longer line. So it means that the person is sharpening their skills. Deeper lines means the person is sharpening their skills to a great extent. Weaker lines means that the person needs to sharpen their skills even further. But the good part is that these lines are not intermingling with each other. They are not crisscrossing each other. So crisscrossing of lines is a bad indication. That would signify that the person is kind of miscalculating and miscommunicating, and the person is not able to rest their mind. See, resting of mind is also required. People, the reason why I say that less lines are good, because then the person is able to understand things in a very, very fast way if the person does have very, very few lines over the amount of mercury. And less lines means the brain of a child, the graph of the child is, the learning graph of the child is steep. They learn very fast. So less lines means a person with an empty mind, a child has an empty mind, so they have the capacity to learn things very, very fast, because they are not coming with preconceived notions and preconceived things. So the way and the different, they are able to see things in a different way compared to an older person. So the good part is that these lines are perpendicular without crisscrossing, so that in itself is good. And you would also notice that there's a mercury line, something like this. This is also a mercury line, and this is forming kind of a money triangle like formation. This is called the money triangle. Now a lot has been said about the money triangle. People think that this is huge luck. See, the thing is that this is considered to be a good sign, but we cannot quantify the money at all. We can't say that the person would be making these many $1 million. We can just say that due to a reasonably strong money line, a stable money line, you will notice a stable money line from this point to this point, from around the age of 29-30 till the age of 35. The money line is stable without any breaks. Second thing is, the person has got a mercury line. If this line was a little bit more deeper, I would have said much better. And this line provides a person of skill. And this is the third line. This is the line of head. This is the line of thought process. So a thought process line should also be stable without any breaks, without any wave-like formation. Only then we would say that the money triangle is good. A person may have a very, very thin or wavy kind of a broken kind of a lines, like money line can be broken, the mercury line can be broken into pieces, and the headline, those won't not be considered to be a good money triangle, and that would not benefit the particular person. Now the other aspect that I can point out here is that there are few problem lines that kind of touch out here. This is if this age is 35 on the money and the headline, so this portion is approximately age 30, 32, 33. That's the approximate age. When this is the area of problems, this is the area of Mars negative. Mars negative, if there are horizontal lines over it, then it is considered to be negative. Otherwise, we can't say that a planet is always negative, because this is the area of anger and aggression, and horizontal lines over it basically kind of give negative aggression. And if this horizontal line goes and touches any particular line, touches out, if it touches the headline, it kind of brings in mental worries during that particular portion. I have already mentioned the age. Then there's another portion where it is touching out here at the age of on the headline, it is touching, if this is age 35, so it is touching somewhere close to the age of 44. But the good part is, beyond this, you would notice that the sun line is good after the age of 35. So in that way, the headline is also kind of branching out towards the end. It's much more very, very clear, deep and clear, and it is branching out. Branching out of the headline towards the end is considered to be good. It signifies that the person is a genius. It signifies that the person is able to see things in two different perspectives. So in that way, it is good. By genius, we do not mean like Einstein, but we just say that the person can see a thing in two different perspectives. So in that way, it is a good sign to have. When we compare it with the competitors, they are way ahead because they always have answers. Whenever a work needs to be done, people ask people take help from these people because they have got the intelligence, and they are genius, and they can see things in two different perspectives. Now, a very important line that I refer to is basically uh, just give me one moment. So this is the line we are referring to. This is the line of heart, and you would notice that the heart line is the line of emotions. This is the line of sensitivity. This is the line of uh, being realistic or unrealistic, idealism, and relationships. But at the same time, I also try to look on the hardline regarding your work profile, how good you are in your profession. The hardline tells, if the hardline is short, first of all, the hardline is ending on the Mount of Saturn. So it means we are asking, where does this particular person gives his heart? So we say towards Saturn. And what is Saturn? Saturn basically signifies money, possessions, wealth, and outer appearances, responsibility, and being grounded. So all these things are depicted by the heartline ending on the Mount of Saturn. It is considered to be a good sign for people who want to go into business. Even if they don't go into business, even if they are in service, they're able to accumulate good amount of wealth, and at the same time they are able to multiply their wealth. They are able to multiply their money. So that's, in that way, it is considered to be a beautiful sign, and it basically signifies that the person would be able to multiply their wealth. And the other part is that because the heart line is quite deep and clear, a deep and clear heart line means a person who can keep stress levels down. So in that way, it is considered to be a good sign. Some people, what they have is that they have a heart line something like this, and they've got lots of branches pointing downwards towards the headline. So those are not considered to be good. The person doesn't have these particular lines. These particular lines, if they were there, it would mean distractions. It would mean that the person is falling for temptations, and the person is not able to dedicate their life to one single relationship or a cause. In this particular person's case, the person just has a small one line downward out here, but as such it is not so bad. So that's the reason I would continue to say that due to the person's dedication, due to the person's focus nature, the person would be much more successful, and the person is able to dedicate their life to one particular thing in their lives. So that's how people get success. In this particular hand image, it appears, this is the headline, there was a downward line. I have already explained, pointing towards the amount of moon, disappointments, but there appears to be an upward line as well. Not a very strong kind of a line, but still it is there. So it is originating somewhere close to the age of 34. Upward line means success. Upward lines pointing towards the amount of Mercury could also mean that the person is gaining something, or some jubilation or some success happening in a person's life, and that's the reason why this upward line can be seen on the line of head. You would notice towards the end of the headline also, you would notice that there are few upward lines pointing towards the Mount of Mercury. So upward pointing towards the finger is always good. Downward branch from the headline pointing towards at the base of the palm is always bad. Now so the hard line ending out here is one of the best indications on the Mount of Saturn, is one of the best indications as far as money goes, responsibility goes, being grounded, knowing the ground situations very well, and being able to multiply their money. If the heart line was very long, it would mean a very sensitive kind of a person, idealistic kind of a person, not a realistic kind of a person. So, and a person who may go in extremes. So that's not considered to be a really good sign. And those people are likely to have heart aches. It means that like they would get troubled with their relationships. Not that their relationships are bad, it's just that because they are unrealistic in their expectations, that's the reason why they are disappointed. In this case, because the heartline is small, so they have got limited expectations. So even if they have few bad relationship, it doesn't matter much because they are able to know realize that everything is not perfect. And so in that way, it is, this sign is much better compared to a longer heartline. Now the headline and the lifeline, you would notice that there's a big gap in at the right at the start. It is considered to be, it basically what it means is that the person is rash, outgoing, never missing out on opportunities, and the person is oriented towards just do it attitude. And they would never miss an opportunity, and they would try to avail every possible opportunity in their life. So this is what we can't say that this is good sign or a bad sign. This is just a personality trait. If we find that in general the lines are good, because in this case the lines are good, so we would conclude, even in spite of being rash, still the decisions that might come out, in most cases they are going to be reasonably good and nothing bad. One important thing regarding this downward line is that, see, this is an early portion of your life, and in early portion of your life, if if the headline points towards the mount of moon, moon is the area for imagination, visualization, and romance. So it means but the person is getting unrealistic. A person who gets unrealistic and in total in imagination is also likely to get out of touch with reality during that particular portion of life. And because this downward line is just below the finger of Saturn, this is the area for money, possessions, wealth. This is also the area for stability and instability or depression. So downward line could bring about that kind of thing, depressive tendencies during those particular years in one's life. So this downward line could be, if this intersection is age 35 on the headline, so this portion of the headline could be somewhere late 20s and early 30s. So that's what I wish to convey out here. You just take a look at few other hand images and try to see if I am able to find anything else in these particular hands. And in this particular hand image, if you notice the mount of Venus, mount of Venus is for energy, stamina, vitality. And you just take a look at another hand image that we have, you would notice that in this particular hand image it appears to be much more prominent, but still I think it's kind of mediocre. If it is reasonably strong, padded, out here we find it's reasonably padded, it signifies that the person has got reasonably good energy levels. If this area was hugely padded, then we would say huge amount of energy levels and stamina and vitality, and a person never getting tired. So one of the best, and now I'm just pointing out few best possible lines on this particular person's hand. Those are perpendicular lines out here on the mount of Mercury. This could be for business, this could be for engineering, medical science, anything to do with intelligence, anything to do with skill. And this upward line from the headline, these are also good, and the sun line is also good. The hard line is also simple, that is reasonably a very important indication, and the money line is also quite stable in spite of this particular break that you see out here. So this break out here and this downward line is kind of coinciding. Roughly the age is same. I've already mentioned the age. Towards the end out here, you would notice that there are very few lines over the mount of Saturn. So less lines over the mount of Saturn is always considered to be a good sign, because Saturn is a very slow moving planet, and a slow moving planet, if there are too many crisscrossing lines, what it would do is that it would bring about more delays, or the rotation of this Saturn is going to slow down even further in this particular person's case. but we don't find those kind of indications. So that's the reason why we find that the mount of Saturn is good. Saturn is all about wisdom, responsibility, being grounded, and knowing the ground situations very well. And there's a small line in between the Saturn finger and the Sun finger. One palmist told me this is the line of education, formal or informal, benefiting this person at some age or the other. So whatever education the person is taking, see, this is a very, very generalized kind of a statement, but yet I made because I find this to be quite true. And just taking few other hand images that we've that was sent to me. Just briefly, I would just point out few things out here. The sun line in the left hand, they are dual. After the age of 35, you'd notice two lines out here. These lines, these are smaller kind of lines we can ignore out here. So these are the two important lines between the age of 35 to 53. And one of these lines continues even beyond the age of 53 and continues even till the last portion of one's life. As far as the money line goes, this is the age 35, this is age 53, and then it tilts a little bit towards the mount of sun. The mount of sun could be for many things. Mount of sun could be for art, music, money coming from those particular portions, but it could also mean share market or risk taking or gambling or something related to that. We can't or something to do with colors. So when I talk to this particular person, probably many more things might come up, and I would be able to guide him in a much better way. As far as the money line in the initial phase goes, before the age of 35, the first line starts close to the lifeline. This is the lifeline. It touches the lifeline. So person earns through his own efforts, but at the same time, another branch from the mount of moon kind of joins the main money line. So this is the main money line and it joins out here. So more flow of money happens somewhere close to this particular age, and this age out here is approximately 30. But what also happens is that there's a flow out of money out here, and it is pointing inward towards the mount of Mars. So money flows out. Some losses could come about in this particular person's case, but beyond that a new line develops. So this inward line is negative and this downward branch on the headline is also negative. So both things are happening somewhere close to the same age, and this downward line is also a little bit before the age of 32. And this upward line that you see, there's an upward line pointing out here. So good aspect, downward line at the same time is bad aspect. So I would just end my video here, and last thing I need to add out here is that the headline in itself is quite deep and clear. In spite of having these downward branches, the mental strength is going to remain, and upward lines towards the end of life pointing towards the mount of Mercury could also mean even in the last age of this particular person's life, the person is going to be mentally active and the person would be able to guide other people, and the person would have a sane mind. As far as health goes, if you notice, this is the lifeline. As such, there's lots of clarity in the lifeline. There's no problem as such, only at one particular portion when a problem line kind of is reaching and touching, not even touching, it's kind of ending before it touches the line of life. This is the lifeline. So this is the problem line. So consider lifeline to be a car that you are traveling in. You are traveling in your car, and a bus or a truck or a cycle or a scooter is coming and striking your car. That means your car is going to topple. If this line is strong, your car is going to topple. If this line is quite weak, like this line is quite weak, so it would have a lesser impact. So this particular impact that can be expected is somewhere close to the age of 65 or so. This is just an approximate. I can't say with certainty, but this is just an approximation. And I just take a last look at this particular person's hand image before I end the video. You would notice that the first finger appears to be a little bit shorter compared to the third finger. It could be that the person is submitting by nature, the person is submitting to the others people's wishes too often. We take other hand images also that were sent to me, and this is okay. I take a look at the right hand image. In the right hand image, you would notice that the mercury finger, this is the mercury finger, it is quite long and even crossing the first phalange of the ring finger. This is the ring finger. And if the mercury finger is long, so it is considered to be a very, very good sign. Basically what it means is that we consider mercury to be a communication tower. If a communication tower is long, it would have a far bigger reach over people. If the communication tower is small, it would have a less reach over people close by as well as far away people. A longer mercury finger is always a good sign compared to a shorter. The ring finger appears to be a little bit long. It means risk-taking abilities is going to be there. The Jupiter finger is short. Jupiter finger, if short, means submissive nature, submitting nature. But this doesn't mean that the person is not successful, because it all depends upon the situation. Sometimes a person is installed to a higher position just because he's submitting by nature. So in that way, I can say no one sign can be a good sign, no one sign can be a bad sign. Everything depends upon the situations. I would just end my video out here. Before ending my video, I would just repeat few things that I repeat in every video. We can come to know about money line from our heart, head, life, any particular line or any particular amount. Importance of money line in terms of how much money we would make in our life is just 15%. A saint once said, you don't need to go to an astrologer or a palmist to know about your future, because you already know your future. Present is a result of past. How will be my future? Future depends upon what you are doing in the present. What are we? We are product of our thoughts. So the thoughts that come to our mind are really important. Keep positive thoughts and keep good company. That's what matters the most. And even if the person's hand does have few things lacking, it doesn't matter much, because of the right company, everything is okay. Like the negative impact on the of the lines may not get applied. If the person is in bad company and still the person has got very good hand, the person may not benefit out of it, because the person is kind of being in the wrong company, and being in the wrong company you get wrong suggestions. So it all depends upon the company. I would say that the person should be having good company, because the heart line kind of points upward. If the heart line was pointing something like this, purely and purely this, something the heart line was touching purely and purely the heart line, then we would have said misplaced affections. But in this case, it's the main line is kind of pointing towards the finger. So in that way, the person would be having right kind of relations. And that's it. I would end my video out here. One last thing out here is if we zoom in, you would notice that the headline, this is the headline, it is kind of overlapping out here. It is kind of a little bit break out here. So this is a very, very early portion of one's life, around the age of mid-20s, late 20s. That's the approximate age. There's a break could mean change. A few problems, mental issues might crop up, some issues might crop up. So this is what it is. Thanks for watching this video. Ask your questions in the comment section down below. People who are watching this video, bye and take care.